what you're doing on your computer.
What's a computer?
You son of a Shut the God! God damn it!
Ageist nonsense. Kids know what fucking computers are. God damn. I bullshit.
Hi. Welcome. God, my drugs are acting up. Do you know where your drugs are? They're probably with your children. My name's Flestomphocles. Hairdo. Good morning. All right, today we're going to talk about net neutrality. What else do you think we're going to talk about, you slouch? Sit up in your chair. Comcast, on their website, they've had a little decree saying that, oh, we're going to support net neutrality and we commit to, you guys can see here on the list there. But the main thing that they said was they will not charge to prioritize internet traffic. The exact statement was Comcast does not prioritize internet traffic or create paid fast lanes. So since all this nonsense has been going down, I can't speak. Since all this nonsense has been going down with the FCC and AGIPI and all that stuff, well, they have gone in and changed things. Now they only have 3 bullet points, and they've removed anything talking about paid prioritization of fast lanes. They are already salivating. They're like, quick, change our commitments, change our commitments. So while on one hand, they're posting things on Twitter like, guys, we are totally committed to net neutrality. And listen, if you just let us not have net neutrality, we promise we'll do net neutrality. But on their website, they're removing commitments about this paid nonsense. So they are just salivating, being like, any second now we can start charging for fast lanes. They have said that, they are all for sustainable and legally enforceable net neutrality protections. Legally enforceable. A lot of the stuff that the FCC is doing is not only going to neuter net neutrality, but it's also going to stop the FTC, that's the Federal Trade Commission. It'll be their responsibility now, but they're doing as much as they can to cripple them. Also, they're going to disallow local governments, cities and states, from stopping or setting up their own net neutrality. We have to get rid of net neutrality because if we don't, people are going to die in the streets. People with impairments are just not going to be able to get access to things. That's the new thing that's out right now. So they're like, listen, we understand everyone hates this whole nonsense that we're doing, but if you guys want net neutrality, you realize that people with handicaps are going to suffer. That's really where they are right now. So they're saying that people may lose access to high definition content that's high definition enough for them to see sign language. So deaf people are going to be shafted. People who need emergency services, they're going to be left right out. Well, guys, these things are already built into the current net neutrality rules that the FCC set up. This stuff is a part of it. There are exceptions for all these things. And, AT&T even took a ton of government money to set up FirstNet. They haven't been doing a very good job with it, but FirstNet is supposed to be a separate broadband thing for emergency first responders and that sort of thing. And here's our shirt of the month. It's sad, but it's necessary, and it will help spread awareness with a bit of a joke. So go ahead and grab that, epicpants.com. Get it now while it's hot. Also over on Epic Pants, the Senpai now sans software. We got someone removing the software right now, but that's brought the price down. So you get the whole box, whole kit, everything you need. You just plug up whatever your Xbox controller and that sort of thing and install your games, throw them on there with an SD card, and you are good to go. Software installation takes about 10 minutes. It's pretty freaking easy. Hardware is in, and new shirts. So get over there and check that out. Or I'll pull your legs off. All right, let's talk about some hardware stuff. HDMI 2.1, the spec has been revealed. And they are going to standardize adaptive refresh rates for all. So basically G-Sync, FreeSync, adaptive sync, all that kind of stuff is now standard in the spec. So all these technologies like G-Sync and stuff will be completely irrelevant if people just use what is in the spec. Also, above and beyond that, they have, I guess there's a few different ways you can do this. You can do 4K at 120 FPS or 120 refresh rate. It says frames per second, but whatever. Same thing, refresh rate. You can do 12-bit color. So if you wanted to bring that down to 10-bit or 8-bit color, you could probably go even higher than that. I bet we're going to see some 4K 200 plus hertz monitors, maybe at 8-bit color or something like that. You can do 8K at 12-bit if you're willing to do 30 FPS, but a lot of TVs are going to be fine for that because a lot of the movies and stuff run at 24 or 30 FPS. 60p is kind of becoming a thing as well. But you're going to have a lot of options. A little bit of AMD news here. They're developing controllers for GDDR6. This is no surprise, so I'm just going to kind of move on from it. They're still going to be using the HBM high bandwidth memory for their flagships and stuff like that, like the Furies and everything else. But they need something a little less expensive for their I guess their lower end cards, or they're still pretty fast, but they need something for the other cards. And GDDR6 is going to be the new thing. It's going to be fast, and so they're already working on controllers. This is kind of just like a, hey, the future is coming article. That's kind of how I feel with most of this technology stuff. It's like, hey, this new thing is coming, and guess what? In 6 months to a year, there's going to be another new thing. GDDR6 is a little bit bigger because this is going to be, something that's going to stick around for years and years. But it's just forward progress. Speaking of forward progress, the new Qualcomm the new Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 is going to support HDR 4K video capture. So that's going to be really cool. See some cool devices coming out using that, I'm sure. And we've got some ARM news. So the new Windows promised that they would be bringing back their very limited ARM-based notebooks or whatever, and they're calling them the always connected Windows, which to me is like the version that's really, really, really limited. You can't run most of your apps because they only work with the Windows Store apps. So if you're okay with having a little device that only lets you run Windows Store apps, there you go. What's more exciting is AMD is working on their own thing that's going to be way more powerful. It's going to feature their Ryzen architecture. And if they can get the TDP down to like 1510, something like that, it'll still be powerful enough to run the desktop apps, so you'll have a more full operating system. But, got to have those speeds, and you got to keep the power low. So we'll see what comes out of that. That's the more exciting news, in my opinion. All right, so we've talked a lot about like synthetic meats and stuff in the past, moving toward a more sustainable, I guess, just food production industry. So they're working on growing lab, meat, and they're also working on, plants that bleed. And they've done a lot of this stuff by engineering yeast. And here we have an entrepreneur working on organic leather without the need for cows. And he's doing so, again, by bioengineering yeast so that as the yeast eat, they basically brew leather. They're brewing leather. So they let the yeast yeet. The yeast yeet? Let's stay in. They let the yeast eat, the yeast feast, and then produce the beast.
This is all done in the East.
Done in the East, none the least. Where am I going? Good to defenestrate yourself. So the yeast eat, I gotta say the whole thing. The yeast feast, then release the beast, which is collagen. They basically that's their byproduct, collagen. And then it becomes a nice, smooth sheet of leather. Now, what's interesting here is this is a little bit different than regular leather that have it's skin. So it's got like patches and rough spots and a little bit of hair here and there. Maybe some back knee. Do cows get back knee? Poor things. Should feed them better. So it's just going to be like a smooth sheet. They're calling it Zoa, and it's not going to be exactly like leather, but it'll be similar enough, and I'm sure it'll be better than like pleather. But I can't wait to get myself a hot pair of Zoa pants and put on some musk and go out on the town. Can you? Okay, so Steam used to take Bitcoin. Steam no longer takes Bitcoin. And they say it's because of the price volatility goes up and down and up and down. And then like people buy something like now, they bought a game like last week, right? The game was $20, and now this week they look at the price and they're like, the equivalent, I just spent $400 on a game. So that kind of bothers players. But the other thing is that the damn transaction fees are really high. They used to be 20 cents, but now they're like $20 a transaction. So they got to get the transaction fees under control. Until then, Steam, why don't you guys look at Litecoin? Litecoin is really something that I think is going to be way more fit for everyday use. Just swap out fiat, start using Litecoin. The transaction fees are low. The network, and once they even upgrade the network's going to be lightning fast. Way, way, way faster for transactions than a Bitcoin or especially Ethereum. Ethereum's not ready for prime time. A bunch of cats on the internet showed us that recently, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, well, then sorry, because I'm not going to get into it. So everyone's been asking for more book recommendations, and I do read maybe 1 or 2 a month. And recently I got into Altered Carbon, which is something I had been meaning to read for years, and I've read a couple of chapters and finally finished it. And Netflix has announced that they're going to be doing a show here. So I'll just cut to the chase here. So the idea with Altered Carbon is that you, as a person, are not your body. You are your collection of thoughts and memories and that sort of thing. So what they've done is they put a stack in everyone's neck, in the back of their neck, and it's basically like your hard drive, and it's everything that you are. You can be stored digitally, or you can be taken out and re-sleeved into a new, they call them sleeves. You can be re-sleeved into a new body. So if you want to be a woman, there you go. Now you're a woman. If you want to be a robot, you can be thrown into a synthetic body. And it's really interesting. It's a very gritty, dark cyberpunk world, way even grittier than like Blade Runner. Way more, I'd say, Blade Runner's pretty mature, but this is like going to be some adult material here. If Netflix screws this up, I'm going to be pretty upset. But until then, you guys can go ahead and check out some of these Takashi Kovacs novels. So there's 3 of them. The first one's called Altered Carbon, so go ahead and check that out. I highly recommend you read that book. Now it's time to go see what everybody's playing. This game's loading. Hey, YouTube. Censor this. We got one over on him. We got him.
Suck it.
All right, we're trying to show everyone this game, but the loading has been like PlayStation 1 loading
Yeah,
speed.
this is taking...
I think it's been over a minute now, and I just turned on the camera.
Yeah. Oh god, okay, thank you.
Hey, we're finally there.
I'm a prisoner now.
So this is 7 days long gone. It just came out on December 1st, and it's a top-down isometric thief game, basically. You get to do a lot of stealthy stuff in it. It's kind of like Assassin's Creed, but isometric, I guess.
And in
But
the
like
future.
really, really specific about what you have to do at each point in time.
Now, will these things work as a disguise?
Yes and no.
Perhaps I'd like to make it my business.
Badass right there.
Mistake. I'll deal with you.
Oh, now we're... Dude.
I just pin you to the corner right there. Oh, he's got weapons, you ain't got nothing. Oh, just abuse him. Pin him to that wall. Don't let him get up the hit.
Fuck back. Guard your grill.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, no. Oh, he was just letting... Oh, whoa, what the hell was that?
That was a power attack. Oh, look, now you're dead.
Loot that guy.
Yeah, I'll take those, thanks.
Yeah, get those. Yes, thank you very much.
I like your gloves.
I would take his underwear just to embarrass him.
So, anyways, this is like set in a kind of post-tech apocalyptic world. This game is very sensitive. Everything, you have to be sure you know exactly what you're doing. If you're slightly off, I've been trying to like sneak up behind guys and backstab them, and a lot of times it would be like, oh, well, it looks like I'm lined up properly, and it's like, nope, you've just alerted him, and you're not actually doing a full killing move.
Even though you were behind him, you were like, not,
Yeah.
you were like at a 93-degree angle.
Yeah. So, you know, things like that. You got to be really precise about, you know, where you're hiding in a bush. If you're like kind of sticking out a little bit like this, they'll get you. The other thing too is when you roll, sometimes you'll stand back up after instead of continuing to be stealthy.
Well, the same button for roll
Yep.
is the same button for stealth, right?
Yes. So like this game is very particular, and a lot of the times it kind of feels like that your worst enemy in this game is the camera. It's frustrating. I've already died a bunch of times playing this, but one of the neat things about it is that it has this really active parkour system where you can just kind of climb up all sorts of things.
Oh, that's cool.
And really easy to work with and manipulate. I would say this game is for if you like stealth games and stuff like that, and games that are, you know, particular stealth games. If you're like a sticks dude, you know, things like that, this would be great for you. And also if you have a lot of patience, like literally it's kind of one of those trial and error situations where you like will go into a room and be like, whoop, shouldn't have stabbed that guy yet, I gotta wait till this happens and stuff like that. So if you have patience, this is gonna be a fun game for you. If you're easily angered by video games not going your way, don't play this game.
A member of our community created something really interesting, and he came to town. He really wanted to show me this, wouldn't tell me what it was, and so I was curious enough that I bought him a beer. And he showed me this device. It's a USB stick with 4 separate controllers on it. Now what that allows you to do is it allows you to just take one memory stick and make it into 4 separate memory sticks. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, you could have the first one as just like your regular files. The second one could be maybe your operating system. The third one could be encrypted, just completely secret, whatever. There's a lot of different uses for something like this. And I think a lot of people who have this are going to put an OS on like, one. You could have each one of them formatted as a different, file system. This one's going to be, FAT. This one's going to be NTFS. This one's going to be BTRFS, whatever you want in your happy little world. But having 4 separate controllers on one memory stick is a very interesting idea. So he showed this to me and he's like, hey, do you think you know anybody in the industry you could show them this so that they could just make it? And I was like, well, yeah, I could show some people this, but then they'd just be like, okay, you're just some random guy. You're not a big company. Thanks for the idea. We don't want to do it, but thanks for the idea. And then they would just go do it without you. So I was like, I'm not going to show anybody until you get a patent. So he's got a provisional patent right now, so it's safe to talk about, meaning, the provisional patent's like, hey, I'm in the process of getting a patent, so you guys can't get a patent. But anyway, he needs a little bit of help, and I think this is an awesome product. So if you guys think it's an awesome product as well, go check it out over at GoFundMe. You just right here, it's the links in the description, but it's Help Data Boss Get a Patent. It's going to be called the Data Boss. Data Boss. But yeah, after he gets a patent, then he's going to be able to, make these things. I want one. Like, I already want one. I want one with like 3 different OS installations on it. Just like pick what I want to install. I don't know. There's a lot of different things that this could be used for. He's also got some hardware switches so you can turn things on and off. Number 3, that's hentai.
Yep.
Why did I do that accent for hentai? It's the number 1 searched for thing in Kentucky, of all things.
Seriously?
Yeah. They're sick of real women in Kentucky. This has got to be cut, doesn't it?
Probably. Maybe not.
Nudity. All right, everybody. That's a good way to the end of the show. See you later.